I see the children playing and think of younger days. For now the years have found me and taken my childish ways. I hear the children laughing, how joyful they must be. For God so loves the children, but will He still love me? Time has flown, and I am older now. I am grown, and trusting no more. I want to be a child again, but not as I was before. The faith we have as children, oh Jesus, give me more. Except ye be converted, and like a child become, ye shall not see the kingdom. O Lord, thy will be done. Born of man, born as a mother's child, born again, a child of the Lord. Born of man, born as a mother's child, born again, a child of the Lord.
Hello, I'm William Johnson, editor of the Adventist Review. Congratulations on your new birth. You've been born into an international family united by faith in Jesus Christ and trust in the Bible as a reliable guide for belief and lifestyle. There's a lot we could tell you about Seventh-day Adventists, but nothing says it better than the people themselves. Herbert Blomstead is a lifelong Seventh-day Adventist who expresses his gifts, commitment, and worldview every day in his work as music director and conductor of the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra.
Music, especially the kind of music we do, classical music, is a deeply spiritual art. Often, even in reviews, they said this was like going to a service. It was not a concert, it was like a service. We make music in a way that reflects our attitude, and we can hide nothing. Once you touch your instrument, also if you're a conductor, once you raise your baton, you cannot hide anything. You show everyone what you are. The second coming, played an enormous role in my life. You can say that in a long symphony like the Bruckner Symphony we are playing this week, it's a series of climaxes, but it also prepares for the climax at the end. So the symphony is written, and the glorious ending is there. But we are part of creating that. Every night I have to reenact that whole history from darkness to light. And that's wonderful. Every bar of this symphony of 1 hour and a half is beautiful. Even if they are distances, they are beautiful. And they are all put in proportion and expressly to the glory of God, because he was sure there would be a glorious ending.
To me, it's exciting to be 40, because I wasn't even supposed to reach 30 or 31.
Jody Howell of Orlando, Florida, found strength in her Adventist faith and community when she was diagnosed with breast cancer more than 10 years ago.
I was sitting on my bed watching my children play in the backyard. They were, as I said, 6 and 2. And I remember sitting there with tears just streaming down my face, wondering if I would ever see my children grow up. Almost railing with the Lord, arguing with the Lord. Why, what purpose is there in this? These children need me, they're young. I remember feeling that even though the Lord was not giving me an answer, he was saying, you don't need to know that right now, but I will be there for you. I belonged to a women's support group called Mothers and Others. It was something that we started just on our own within our church for mothers of young children, just to have some fellowship, a learning time together, a spiritual time and a social time. And these women ministered to me terrifically. They were at the door with casseroles. They were on the phone asking if they could help to take care of the children. They were there when I just needed to talk to somebody. They were very good at listening. And that was something that was very important to me, and really I believe was a big part in my being able to keep a positive attitude. I know that the pain that has come into my life has served to make me a stronger person, and has served to deepen my commitment to God, to make him really the Lord of my life. And yet I'd like to be able to tell the Lord, I think that's enough. Don't you think that we can just go on with life as usual now and have no more problems? To know that the future will bring my children, my family in the kingdom, and to know that even though life is uncertain, to know what the end will be. I do trust the Lord.
The young adults of the Forest City Spanish Church in Florida believe Christians can have the best fun of all. Not long ago, they planned a rodeo.
I think it helps spiritually because they can bring their friends, and that helps them for when they come on church. They can say, well, we're having a social. We not only pray and sing, but we also can have a good time.
They're doing what they like to do the most. They like to be involved in these kind of activities and their fellowship, with one another. And they're just having a great time. I'll tell you, I'm getting ready to join them in a little bit, because this is contagious, you see.
I just love coming to church, knowing that there's so many people here that are willing to be my friend, and not only that, they're willing to discuss with me about Jesus and how he's going to come someday. And we're going to be together, and hopefully we'll do this in heaven too.
In 1984, when Dulcia Dwyer was 18, she founded the Linden Youth Ensemble for Christ. The choir has won citywide awards in New York City, but that's only part of its success.
I wasn't going to church for a while, real church, and I joined the choir because they forced me to go to church that afternoon, and they were just so great, and I was like, y'all don't realize how great y'all sound. They were like, even after I joined the choir, I used to say y'all, and they said, but you're part of us now, and I was like, no, I'm not, and I got baptized this year, and I'm real happy about it.
I get to, hang out with my friends, and plus I get to minister to the Lord, in a way that I really like, it's fun.
I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus. For it's the power, for it's the power, for it's the
seeing the group get closer and closer, seeing the young people in the church start to grow spiritually. That's my kick. That's where I get my boost.
You know, the Bible tells us that he's going to come down on a cloud. Now, you know, I can't walk on a cloud. I'm a pilot, and I've flown through all kinds of clouds. And sometimes they're filled with rain, and other times they're filled with ice, you know, snow. But one thing you can't do now is walk on a cloud. Won't it be fun someday when you're going to be able to see a cloud up there and go walk up and lie down on it and roll around in the cloud and have a picnic on the cloud?
Robert S. Falkenberg is president of the General Conference of Seventh-day
You think
Adventists.
you're going to do that?
Here he discusses a very important issue with some very young constituents.
Now, I want to ask someone to tell me, what is the one thing, the one most important thing that we have to do to be ready for Jesus coming?
Study our Bibles.
To be nice to other people. We have to ask him for forgiveness. Obey your parents.
Obey your parents. Is there anything that we have to do or say or think or believe or anything to be ready? What?
To believe in God.
You have to believe in God.
And love him.
Any other feelings you have about it? Yes.
Scared because we might not go.
You're scared because you might not go? Anybody else feel that way?
Yes.
Well, what makes you think you can't go?
Because you might have done something wrong and we haven't asked him for forgiveness.
You say you might have done something wrong and you might not have asked him for forgiveness? You think that he won't forgive you?
You have to ask him for him to forgive you.
So you think if you happen to make a mistake today and then Jesus came and you forgot to ask for forgiveness, he wouldn't take you? Is that what you think? Oh boy, do I have good news for you. Because you know what? There is nothing, you can't do anything that makes you good enough to be good enough to go to heaven. Did you know that? You could be, there's nothing you can do to be good enough for Jesus to say, okay, now you're good enough to go to heaven. What is important is that you say, Jesus, I'll never be good enough, but you were good enough. Jesus, I accept that you did that for me, and I believe in you. That's the one most important thing.
You've met only a few of the family members. There are nearly 7 million more. You are one of them, part of a community of people held together by our belief in God, the traditions and values expressed in our faith, and our kinship in the body of Christ. This is the heart of the church. But what about its arms, legs, and voice? Who authorizes the preachers? Who coordinates the missionary endeavors? This is where the organizational structure, the institutional nature of the church comes into play. It's your family at work. The General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, with corporate offices just outside Washington, D.C., in Silver Spring, Maryland, administers an international church active in 182 countries and representing more than 600 language groups. The world is divided into 11 geographical areas called divisions. Divisions, in turn, are divided into union conferences, and most union conferences are divided into local conferences. Each entity has an administrative staff to oversee the work of the church in that geographical area. The North American Division, administering church work in Canada, the United States, and Bermuda, is divided into 9 union conferences. Union conferences administer the liberal arts colleges within their regions and have representation on the boards of the Adventist hospitals within their region. Local conferences offer services to church in their regions and work with those churches to coordinate the extensive primary and secondary school systems of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Your pastor is employed by the local conference to coordinate ministry in your congregation. Because Christ was a healer, your family conducts a health ministry that includes 154 hospitals, 336 clinics, and 71 retirement homes and orphanages worldwide. Because Christ was a teacher, we operate a comprehensive educational program with more than 5,000 schools, including 76 colleges and universities.
Makes me feel real proud because it's like there's so many and they're all over the world, and it's lots of fun.
Many local churches have organized chapters of the Pathfinder Club, an extracurricular organization that teaches youth Christ-centered values and skills and provides them with opportunities for fellowship, fun, and community service. More than 50 publishing houses around the world produce books and literature to enhance Christian growth. Weekly journals for all ages, including publications such as the Adventist Review, Guide, Insight, Primary Treasure, and Little Friend, provide inspirational reading and a communication network to keep the family in touch. Your local Adventist Book Center, or ABC, carries church books and publications, along with a wide variety of Christian books and musical recordings for people of all ages. Christian Record Services in Lincoln, Nebraska produces recordings, large print editions, and materials for blind and deaf people. Seventh-day Adventists believe in the separation of church and state. Through the Religious Liberty Department, the church works to ensure the religious freedom and rights of groups and individuals. Your new family also has its technical side, with an extensive radio, television, and video ministry. Programs such as It Is Written, Lifestyle Magazine, The Voice of Prophecy, and Online Edition communicate the Adventist belief in a God who is interested in our mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. Welcome to a family that knows how to celebrate. Every week, from Sunset Friday to Sunset Saturday, we experience a special time, a holiday, to enjoy fellowship with family, friends, and God. In every part of the world, Sabbath is our time to remember the gifts of creation and salvation, to celebrate Christ coming into our lives, and to look forward to His second coming. Together, believers revel in the gift of creation and salvation. It's easy to get hooked on the hurry and confusion of life. That's why the Sabbath is important, because it reminds us what is important. Welcome to a family that believes in the unity of human beings, the complete integration of mind, body, and spirit. This is why we advocate a temperate, healthful lifestyle. This is why we promote modesty, simplicity, honesty, and a mentally healthy outlook based on grace, forgiveness, and freedom. This is why we support values and programs that foster healthy relationships. This is why we encourage individual spiritual development through Bible study, prayer, and meditation. It's no accident that Adventist men live an average of 9 years longer than men in the general population. This is the fruit of a lifestyle that promotes mental, physical, and spiritual health. Welcome to the family. Since you're new to the family, we ought to acquaint you with a few of your ancestors. The family began with William Miller, a farmer and battalion leader in the War of 1812. Miller once described himself as a consistent opposer of the Christian faith. But honest study transformed him into a believer and preacher of the Bible, of Jesus Christ and his soon return. Although Christ did not come when the Millerites expected, many found significance in the spiritual awakening they had experienced. One of these was Joseph Bates, a tough-minded sea captain committed to health reform, anti-slavery, the Second Advent of Christ, and the Seventh-day Sabbath. Bates introduced the Sabbath to fellow believers who later formed the Seventh-day Adventist Church. James White, a Millerite, opposed heavy church organization and believed in the importance of independent thinking and personal Bible study. White's search for truth led him to become a founder and leader of the Seventh-day Adventist movement. He began the first Adventist publication, the Advent Review and Sabbath Herald, which continues today as the Adventist Review. White was known as a friend of the poor and oppressed, a practical, hard-working, humble man who lived to serve Christ. At an 1843 Millerite meeting, the testimony of a young woman named Ellen Harmon deeply impressed him. 3 years later, he married her. For 35 years, Ellen White worked and traveled with her husband. After James White's death in 1881, she continued to serve the movement, becoming the single most influential person in Adventist history. With the help of literary assistants, she authored scores of books and more than 4,000 articles. The Seventh-day Adventist community recognized her as a prophet who received specific messages from God. Today, her writings continue to influence Adventist thinking in matters of faith and practice. Your family inherited a legacy of service to humanity. The church isn't perfect, but it has a good heart. Christ helped people in need, and Seventh-day Adventists express his love by following his example. The Adventist Development and Relief Agency, ADRA, is active in 60 countries of the world, providing disaster relief and educating people toward a better, more self-reliant future. The northern Cambodian city of Angkor Wat is 800 years old. ADRA has been there 36 months, renewing a water system as old as the city.
The end result will be that water will be moving out from that reservoir and going out all of those acres and helping, what was it, 20,000 families? That will be helped. In addition to that, of course, the product they will be raising will go into the communities around and will probably help 4 or 5 times that many people in the end. If Jesus were here on earth today, I think this is the kind of thing that he would be doing. He moved in to help where help was needed. He was in the hovels. He was there with the sick. He was giving food to the hungry. And that's the kind of thing that ADRA is doing here.
Closer to home, local community services centers distribute clothing and food to people in need. Some family efforts have both local and global impact. The Sunnyvale Adventist Church near San Jose, California, collects and sells used aluminum cans to recycling centers and uses the proceeds to bring water to people in Africa.
Well, I got interested in this because I'm a civil engineer. I work for an environmental consulting firm that provides services to the garbage disposal industry. Our purpose here is to encourage people to bring their aluminum cans to the church and put them in the receptacles that we will provide so that we can use those cans to donate money to ADRA. It's a very good thing for the church to do. It ties in with what the community as a whole is supposed to be doing and is attempting to do. And at the same time, we're providing a great benefit to the people in Malawi and Tanzania.
Adventist young people from Simi Valley, California see no conflict between helping people and having fun.
I'm sure it's a relief for her. To have to do all this by herself would be just incredible. Too much work.
I think it's just neat rather than just sitting on my duff on a Sunday afternoon to get out and do something.
Well, it helps someone else that needs help, and I hope if I ever need help like that, someone will help me.
I think they're marvelous. I really do.
Members of the Monrovia All Nations Church come from a diversity of backgrounds to provide a variety of outreach ministries.
There's so much of a need out in the community to look after homeless and to educate the mothers how to care for the babies and to let the drug addicts and the winos and the destitute people know that we are not just preaching a religion, but we're trying to live out this religion, and we're trying to live it by seeing that our fellow man in the street is his needs are met.
We have a very interesting project in that one of our members recycles old vehicles.
We're collecting them to raise money to feed homeless people.
All Nations is family and a fellowship of believers. It's home, and it's God's love being demonstrated.
This is your family. You haven't met everyone. You haven't seen everything your family does. There's more because Seventh-day Adventists are a vibrant, growing, dynamic family. There's more because our infinite, generous God gives beyond what we can ask or imagine. So we invite you to live, search, hope, struggle, celebrate, serve, and grow with us. We invite you to look in the mirror and meet a very important member of your family, you. You make a difference in who we are. Welcome to the family.